Oh, I've started. Welcome to podcast number 49. And that is actually 49 because I just checked the clip of the previous podcast where I had to edit myself back in going, no, it's 48. So I'm 49. I don't know if the lighting's a bit dark. I did buy some new lights at the time of when I got the new computer and stuff, but they're probably the wrong ones. They're very dazzly. Anyway, I'm already digressing. Point was with the lights is that it's quite dark, and I thought, well, you know what, fuck it, today feels like a darky day. Today is the equivalent of if I had like a weekly counselling session, therapy session, and I rang said counsellor therapist and said, hey, can I see you today? That's what this podcast is. What day is it? It's Wednesday. I wanted to try to do Friday mornings, but I forgot last week because I've just been working on the ramp. If you watch the rest of my YouTube or follow me on Instagram, you'll be aware of the ramp in the garden, which is kind of encompassing the whole kind of garden job. Anyway, like, man. Yes. I had to go do some jobs this morning. See, it ain't even as simple as that in my head, man. It's just a fucking mess. I think the easiest way of putting it in brackets is I can't get out of my head. Have you ever watched Scrubs? And was it Jimmy the Orderly or something? And he's got like a memory problem, and he just tackles people saying, "Who am I?" And he just tackles them. That's the voice I hear in my head. Basically, when I'm thinking like this, I'm like, "Who am I?" But it's like, "Who am I?" in that. So it's nice and comical, but the fucking point's still there because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And sadly, I think a lot of us, I think I'll cover this in an older podcast, like, you kind of almost center your identity around your job role / career. So I'd have been like, hi, I'm Ryan, I'm a mechanic. You know what I mean? Or hi, I'm Ryan, I'm an electrician. I guess you wouldn't always say your job title, but, you know, what's your name, what do you do, would people say. It is the thing, isn't it? That is the thing. I just don't know what the fuck I'm doing, man. And I think especially for people that, I don't like labels, I'm never getting tested, fuck off. But feeling, sorry, I had to throw that in. I'm better, and most people are better with routine. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean. It's way healthier getting up every day. You know what you're doing. It's something you're content towards doing. Whereas at the minute, I'm waking up every day, and I'm just like, I don't know. This year's just been such a fucking mess with like not working and then working again. I mean, I went through it all in the last podcast about losing my stepdad, which is it's just like that is just fucking weird. Like most of the time, I'm just like, what do you mean he's dead? Like, what does gone mean? Like, I feel like when I'm trying to explain some things to my kids and they don't get it. I'm like, how you were when you're older, you know, more like simple stuff like about the moon and space, or maybe how to cook some food or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't get it, and it's just fucking weird. So obviously that all on top of it is not fucking helpful, which feels really disrespectful to say, but it's just the fucking matter of fact of it. Because it's like, so I think it's threw me really bad today because the car broke last week. And I've been using the wife's car and going to do jobs because, as I've said in previous podcasts, like my van broke last November, December. Yeah, so it's been nearly a year I haven't had a van. And then obviously, I started taking some jobs on again recently. Just kind of, I hate saying it, you know, like be the provider sort of thing. I fucking hate that feeling of like that's the thing. Which, on a standpoint. So then, the garage that we used, we're really like familiar with the garage and they're really friendly. But they're great in the way of like, they'll fix the fucking car, tell us how much it is, but then let us take the car and we can block pay them back sort of thing. So, but as well with that, basically, like, I don't nag them at all. In my head, I'm like, you dare fucking bother them. Like, they're not doing it for free, but, you know, they're letting you do it, pay later sort of thing. There ain't no fucking other garage that's going to do that. So, when we dropped the car off, and they were like, "Oh, we're super busy, blah blah blah." Yeah, that's fine. Like, if we could just leave it with you, like, and they said, "Oh, we should be able to look at it next week." So I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." So I'm like, "This week was wrote off. Maybe next week." Anyway, they rang up yesterday. Car's done. And I'm like, when the car broke, oh, it was like a weight, because I could easily go like, is what it is. So any customers messaging me, I'm just like, "Yep, I can't get to you in a minute. Like, fuck it." So I've just kind of been cracking on with the skate ramp and just looking after the kids, really, and like just trying out with the wife, who she's been struggling in a different way, which I'll get to in a minute. So yeah, today, because I've just suddenly had to like jump on these couple jobs with these customers and stuff, I'll tell you what, it was the moment where I went, so I've done them, as daft as it is, I'm just going to say it, like, my phone's been a shit. Like, my phone got restricted because I didn't pay my phone bill. And I paid it yesterday, saying you should get your data and stuff back. And it still hadn't, which is annoying them for me trying to use maps to go to customers' houses. Luckily, they're ones that I know where they live. And the one I was pretty sure I managed to find my way there. But then my data kept going in and out, so it's daft stuff like, it would be playing some music, but it wouldn't let me see messages on my work Facebook page. But then the music would just cut out. You know what I mean? Just silly things like, you know, when you're not feeling good anyway, and just little things like that just kind of get you feeling like, oh, just fuck off, man. But it was the moment where I'd got to this job, customer I know, just to fit the oven for him, and he weren't in. And then just the thought of like, I don't want him to say, "Oh, can you come back later then?" Because in my head, I'm like, I've said this before with jobs and stuff, I can get myself to a place where I'm like, you know, you kind of have to keep moving, don't you? Like, don't give yourself a chance to think, just go through the motions, get through the fucking movement. So I was like, you know, took the kids to school, I walked the fucking dog, got back, got my tools, put them in the car, left, went to the jobs, bang, bang, bang. So it's like, get it done, finish it, get home. And then when I'm home, I'm like, that's good, I'm Ryan, I'm dad. I'll just crack on with the ramp. But just that feeling of maybe having to come back or whatever, I don't know why, it was just kind of broke the camel's back as such. And it's just this feeling that I keep getting lately of like, so am I an electrician? Am I a tradesman then? Again, am I doing this? Is this me? Or like, am I making content and stuff like this? Because it's like, with the ramp I'm going to keep saying I touched on it in the last podcast. I need to stop saying that. I haven't been videoing me work on the ramp as much, because honestly, it's just been really cathartic for me. Like, I've just been getting out there. I leave my tools under like a cover next to the ramp, so I don't have to get them all out my shed. So I just whip the cover off. The extension lead I leave in the shed but unplugged, so I just go in the shed, plug it in, go around, and just crack on. And it's just been like burying my head, cracking on with it. So I haven't been doing the content, I haven't been videoing it, which, because I said before, I didn't video the work done in the 6 weeks because the death of my stepdad was really fresh. So it was even more like, not even so much cathartic then, but it was like, if I did it, like, you know, all the kids were home and shit, and it's hard for me to think of setting up the camera. And it's just little daft stuff because I'm not doing it. When you're not doing something regularly, it's fucking hard. Because then there's just the little things like charging, making sure the lapel mic's charged so you get decent audio when I do a video. Like, because I'm not doing it all the time now, or thinking about it, I'm like, oh, is it? And in the moment, I'm stood there with my tools, I want to crack on. I'm like, oh, so I don't want to go to the studio now and get them and then put them on charge. And then, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like a faff when you're not doing it. And then, so that's what I mean. I'm kind of in that mix of like, I don't know what I'm fucking doing, man. And it's hard when it's this self-employment shit, because it's like, it ain't like, oh, have I got work today? You know what I mean? Have I told the boss I'm going in, and you just do your fucking job, and then you go home, and it's done until maybe you're in tomorrow, the next day, whatever. I have to have like the brain on. I have to have the tradesman brain turned on, and it's effectively like it's on or it's not. So even though if I'm working on the ramp or I'm doing something else, I've got to be cognizant and mindful of like, is a customer going to message me? And then it's And then I've got to remember that. And everyone, and it's hard when I get ones that are like regulars, cause it's like they're your friend sort of thing, because it's like you're their electrician sort of thing. And they're like, we want you to do this, which is nice, blah, blah, blah. But it's just, I think what I'm trying to get at is that it's constant on your mind when you're doing self-employed work. You can't turn it off. It's just always fucking there. So even though technically, realistically, I'm not working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week at the minute, because I ain't got that much work coming in anyway. So I have got time to work on the ramp. And even though I have been working on it, doing that sort of stuff, my head's still in the jobs. My head's still ready to try, or my head's trying to have me be ready to go and do work like that. It's just hard, because then content creation is kind of very similar in that you're always going to be aware of it, especially with the way I'm doing it, where it's more like vloggy content and not so much planning the next video. It's just being, again, self-aware, and I like the word cognizant, of thinking, like, camera's charged up and blah, 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 and I'm going to film this scene and whatnot. I'm going to get that part of doing the ramp and this and that. Like, I've just been falling into, because it's hard and that, I've just been really falling into the whole, I might work on the ramp in the afternoon and then get the kids in bed on time, and then I'm just fucking playing Pokemon TCG, which I've gotten back into now, which I'd love to do a nice video on, because I've been enjoying playing it. But I'm aware I'm using it as, like, at the minute, it's very like escapism-esque for me. Like, I'm playing that while the wife's doing some sewing. We do that till about 9:30. Then we're watching through Z Nation at the minute, which is pretty cool actually. Zombie films are my favourite. I've decided it's my favourite, like, genre of, like, shows and movies, mainly shows. And anyway, then when she nods off, I'm just back on watching anime. I've been watching My Hero Academia, caught up on that, and then now I'm catching up with Attack on Titan. So I'm just fucking playing Pokemon and watching anime. And obviously I've had that bit of me where I'm like, well, that time of the evening when I'm playing Pokemon, I could be in here playing it and videoing it, or I could be editing what footage I have got for the ramp and whatnot. But then it just comes back full circle. I'm like, is that what I'm doing, is it? So am I doing content creation? Or, like, should I be doing work posts on my work page? And we've got, like, our local town Facebook page, which you can, like, ask to have a post put on if you're, like, a tradesman and stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm so, I don't know where the fuck I'm going, man. It all just comes around money. Which, like, with this claim thing, and it just keeps getting fucking threatened with the claim and the payout, because it's like, all that was left to do that I'm aware of, because we haven't really heard from the solicitor either, man. There's no contact stuff. The fuck's going on? It's like the witness statements needed updating. We got them done. As soon as they sent them over to us, we got them edited that evening and were fucking sent straight back over to them. And let me think now. They got a week extension for the defendants to have it in last Friday. And then our solicitors got ill. So then they've asked for another week extension to this Friday to have to serve the witness statements. This is because it got to the point where, I think because of the value of the claim and the time of it, it went to court, but for like, it's like a formal first meeting thing where I think they get in front of the judge and they're all just very like, judge is like, right, okay, general details of the claim, and then gives the defendants and our solicitors, right, you need to get these, basically gives them a list of shit they have to do by a certain time, like a schedule leading up to an actual court date, which it shouldn't reach that far anyway. But now they're both in a position, our solicitors and the defendants, like, they've got to tick these boxes now until it's, like, finished. But yeah, what my solicitor said, the wife's solicitor, our solicitor, she wants the medical expert to clarify one thing he said on his report. But he done this, like, fucking months ago. So on one hand, you're kind of like, you're telling me, like, she hadn't chased up the guy to get that. But then on the other hand, the way I kind of said it to the wife, because she used to do cakes, I'm like, well, when you'd make your icing figures and decorations for the top of a cake, you wouldn't ice it straight away, like ice the actual cake. You'd get all your topper stuff done. And then when it's like, right, they need to go on top of the cake now. Right, okay, now I'm going to ice the cake and then put them on top. Oh, shit. I smacked everything. So in my head, with the solicitor, with this thing, trying to tell myself, it's like, right, okay, well, once she's like, well, I need to do that, but there's not really much point anyway until we've got all this stuff done. So I'm hoping once she's got all those things in and done, the only thing left is that. So then hopefully it'll be in her head to be like, right, okay, well, I'm going to chase that down now because that's all that's holding it back. And obviously I'll try and be aware of, like, she's probably got the cases going on and everything else and blah, blah, blah. But it's annoying. I mean, it's been going on 7 years. Like, anyone that's not familiar with the podcast, and I'll be surprised if you listen this far if you've never listened to the podcast before. 7 years, I believe. It might even be, it's either 7 this year or it'll be 8 years in October. It's been a long fucking time. But we had conversations in like February, March sort of time that made it sound like, fuck, this will be done next month. Like, all done and dusted. And that was one of the reasons that led to me like stop working. There was a multitude of reasons which I have covered in a previous podcast, and I don't want to go through them all again, but there was a multitude of reasons and factors that led to me going, right, okay, I ain't working now. So with that, because it's so like all possible, the only reason I'm having to deal with this like who am I thing is because of fucking money. I don't worry about money in the matter of fact sense. Like, I spoke to the wife when I got back, and she was like, she just said, "Oh, you worried about money?" Like, Bill, I went, "No." I went, "Am I?" Fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck about bills, man. I do not care, which is where we struggle because to get between us, me and the wife, because that's one of the things she does like really worry about and stress about, whereas I just don't fucking care, man. I'm so, because I was like 100% like self-employed, sole earner for the fucking family and everything for the best part of the last 10 years. Like, when you are doing that and that is all you're doing, you have to get yourself to a point of like, oh, like, fuck it, it is what it is. Because if you're stressing to get the money in every fucking month, mate, you just hang yourself. I remember getting like fucking suicide awareness stuff through my Part P thing because I like the suicide rate with electricians and tradesmen and stuff. Because it is, man, it gets so worked up. So either way, I don't give a fuck about bills specifically. Like, when I said like my phone was restricted, like, fuck it, man. Like, I'm at home. Like, I really don't, like, we haven't had Sky for the last probably month or two. I'm like, don't care. And I'm like, we've got Disney, Netflix. If we didn't have them, don't care. I'd use my fucking DVDs or whatever. And if the electrical got turned off in terms of that, like, man, I'd read a book. I'd put a fucking candle on and read a book. Like, just because that thing of like, I'm kind of aware like it's all temporary as well. But yeah, the point I'm trying to get to with that is because I'm struggling with this thing of like, oh, what am I doing? Who am I and whatnot? Is because like any day, like, it's in a position at the minute where any day we could get a fucking email going, oh, by the way, the defendants have offered this much. Do you want to take it? Like, we had it last December. They offered 120 grand, and mainly the barrister was like it's a standard thing in it. You don't accept the first offer. So because that's kind of like they're threatening like any day, I don't know how long I need to keep doing this for. And also, it's kind of lost the point because we're on universal credit now, so it's like they just top up whatever we don't earn. So if I don't fucking work, it's like, well, they just pay us anyway. So then I'm like, well, what am I fucking taking on jobs for anyway then? Yeah. Just having a moment. Because I struggle with a lot of just like, just the dickheads in my head as well. Like, when it is like, because I've been doing jobs lately, but it's like, I want to do content creation, right? And when I'm struggling with having to do work, one of the things that beats me down is this voice going, well, I hate it. It talks to me like a proper cunt, man. It's like, well, yeah, who are you? What makes you different to anyone else? Like, yeah, you should come and have to do a fucking 9 to 5 like the rest of us. Like, what makes you any different or any better? How come you get to go and make like fucking videos and stuff and try and earn a living that way when like I've got to fucking be a bin man or like work in a factory or be a mechanic or be an electrician or be a cake, like, you know, just whatever kind of more like manual-esque work sort of thing. And it just fucking beats me, man. And then even then, I'm like, even with this podcast, 'cause it's like, ultimately, yeah, I'd love for this podcast to pay my fucking bills and everything. But then again, it's the same thing of like, why should it? Like, how's that fair? Like, as a creator, I really fucking struggle with that. As a consumer, I don't mind it. That's the weird thing. I watch other people's podcasts and know that they do it for a living and everything, and I'm like, yeah, fair play, because you're creating content. Like, I can put reasonable, valid points forward for somebody else, but not my fucking self. Like, yeah, that's kind of like the bullet point of it. But you know what I mean? Like, I'll look and be like, the channels that I watch that just play Pokemon. That's all they do. They do Pokemon TCG and they put videos and that's all they do. And I don't look at them and go, you bastard. Like, how come you get to live your life like just playing a game? I never think like that. I'm like, oh, wicked. FTW's put a new video up. Like, I'm happy to watch that. Same with anyone else. Any other YouTube channel or videos I watch, I'm like, they're creating content. And it's like, and I'm aware from the effort that goes through, like, just videoing and everything else and trying to put himself across on camera nicely and all that, whether it's entertainment based or it's like, you're bringing value across. I get it. Like, for other people, I fucking get it. And I don't mind it, and I'm happy to consume it. And I can got 2 or 3 YouTube memberships that I pay for because I want to, like, they're like £1 or £2 a month. And I'm like, and I want to do that because I want to give to them, because I know how the hardship of creating content sort of thing, and like the effort that goes into it. And if you're not doing it full time, but if you're trying to make full time content without doing it full time, like, you just drive yourself insane. But yeah, when it comes to myself, I really fucking struggle with the idea of it. And then I'll try and be nice to myself. I'm like, man, I don't want that much. Like, I'm not here going, like, I want a fucking mansion and I want like the newest fucking Lamborghini and I want to be going abroad all the fucking time, and like, I want to, you know what I mean? Like, my realistic goals are like, I'd like to extend the house I live in so that my boys can each have a fucking bedroom, and I'd like a bedroom myself where I can step out of my side of the bed. I want a Lamborghini, but I'd quite like a 2005 model Gallardo, which in one hand I'm like, yeah, they're like between 60 and 80 grand. The newest ones are in the hundreds and whatnot. But as soon as I say that, man, I'm like, fuck, 80 grand on a car. It's like ridiculous. But like, I've always liked cars. I was a mechanic. That was my main trade. I love cars, and I'd like to get an old Lambo because I don't mind working on it, and I'd like to, like, mod it, take it apart. Like, it's an interest. There's a whole other vein for the channel that I wanted to do. Perfectly, I'd get one that's not too busted up and fix it up on the channel, and then people will just accuse me of trying to do Matt Armstrong content. But fuck that, man. I swear I'm older than him, or we're the same age. But I was rebuilding engines in my bedroom. Like, it's a big part of who I was, and the only reason it stopped was money. And having the family and whatnot, like, I couldn't work on the car. Like, I sold my car. I've got pictures of it with me. I've got a picture of my car and all the parts around on the floor. And then I'm sat with my 2 boys. I don't know if you had Mikey at the time. Because it was symbolic. So I stripped my whole car and sold all the parts and everything, and used all the money to get my son a go-kart and get him his kit and everything. This is all before lockdown. Fucked all that up. So, I tried to put it into, like, memories and things to do with the kids instead, and then once all that fucked up, I sold all the go-kart stuff to get the bikes, which has eventually led to BMXs and skateboards and now the skate ramp. So it's all kind of, yeah, I had a little bit of hope. I put I like Gary Brecker. I don't know why I done it in that voice. It's because I had to really, like, slow down and think of the guy's name, because I didn't want one of them awkward pauses where you're like, oh, I'm trying to think of the name. Anyway, I like Gary Brecker, and I put a podcast on of his. Can't remember the name of the guy that he had on, but what I liked was, like, he said he's got his own podcast and he's been doing it about 5 years, and once a week he'd sit down with a thought and just dig at it for like 20 minutes, half hour. And that's essentially what his podcast is. And eventually, like he said, he was doing it, and then eventually he quit his job because he was earning enough, and now he's done some books and whatnot. And it was just nice to kind of see, like, a case study of similar to what I'm doing-ish. Just the fact that I'm on my own, because he said he had no guests on, because that would ruin the point of the angle of his podcast. Which is the same with this now. Like, I'd like to do a guest podcast, but it would have to be separate to this because of the way I'm now doing this one. So it's nice, which is a little bit where I feel like Stephen Bartlett fucking sold himself out because he was doing that Diary of a CEO. And if you listen to like the first, I don't know how many, but I started listening to the start of that podcast, and I liked it because I swear he was in like a cupboard or something in his house. But it was nice. It was him talking about, and he'd talk about his girlfriend and stuff like that and everything, and it was just nice. Now it's just like super fucking pump out. I remember watching it. He's transparent with how he does it, but still, it's like he's trying to get the best fucking guests on. Like, he has like something under the desk where when he thinks they've said something that's like noteworthy, clickbaity or whatever, it taps it, and then like his team can then start testing thumbnails and titles during the podcast, and the whole time it's being dictated, I think. And then I think he uses AI to like snap bits out of again for like clips of the podcast, and it's just because he's come up through business sort of thing. He's attacked his podcast like a proper fucking business, and that's the way he approaches it. But it's the Diary of a CEO, man. That's not how it fucking started. Like, he should have kept his Diary of a CEO podcast, then started CEO fucking guest podcast. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like he sold himself out there. I haven't watched all of his podcasts, so I don't know how it naturally led to that. But I just don't feel like it did. I feel like it had just been one day, bump. Like, what happened when, I swear he still doesn't do the thing where the guests used to leave a question for the next one. See, even that I didn't mind, but I swear he doesn't do that anymore either. I don't know, I think it's just 'cause it's what I'm trying to do, isn't it? I'm trying to be more personable. Because like I love Jocko and stuff like that, and I've said this before. But there's just this gap that I feel with people like that. I should just go, man, you don't fucking get it. Like, at the minute, that's what I was going to touch on with my wife. This is why Jocko's made me think of it, because from the sounds of it, his wife's just like a fucking tough nut like he is. But like today, because I was struggling on the way back from this job, and I was thinking like, man, I was like, right, I'm gonna do a fucking podcast. I'm gonna get in. I'm just gonna fucking talk and do a podcast. And I was like, man, I should be able to talk to my fucking wife, man. And it's like, I can't at the minute. But it's not because she don't care or anything. We've got like a bad relationship. It's just because she's fucking on her ass herself. So it's like, I can do this podcast now. I can just rattle off the shit in my head, and I'll feel better for it, and it'll take a little bit of weight off my shoulders. You know, this is catharticness in itself, and I'll feel better. But if I talk to my wife, the weight will come off of me and then onto her, and because she's already barely managing her own fucking mental weight, she'll just collapse. Because like at the minute, she's on this new, I can't remember what meds she's on. She's on some new crazy pills. We call them crazy pills. That's not me taking a dig at my wife. That's what we fucking call them. Which I was half reluctant for her to take anyway. And she's aware of this because we have spoke about it. Because I'm just like, man, you just need to exercise, eat well, get the fucking gym, do something productive that you enjoy, and like, you'll be all right. Which, again, I'm aware of that for myself as well. Like, when I was feeling shitty on the way back, I was like, I'm not exercising as much at the minute. I've been a bit more sugar again. So, you know, those things don't happen. I haven't been cold pooling either. Like, I'm scared of the cold plunge again, so that pisses me off. I hate when I'm scared of it. I mean, I've managed to get straight in it last time I went in, so at least I haven't had a stage yet where I'm like standing there for 40 minutes waiting to get in it. I haven't done that for a while. Because I kept jumping in it in the summer. We had like, during the 6 weeks holiday, during the summer holidays, we had like a good weather for a couple of weeks. And I know the cold pool wasn't that cold. Like, I didn't have ice in it or nothing. But I just wanted that muscle memory of just when I stand in front of it, I step in. So like, I stand, I step in, I stand, I step in, I stand, I step in, because I was trying to get that in ready for when it did get colder. But yeah, so like with, she started taking it, but she started taking it once the kids went back to school, because she had them whilst they're off, but they're meant to make you like sleepy and stuff and drowsy and like loads of other side effects. So she was like, right, I'll do it when the kids go back to school. But the big side effects of that, the first day or two, she was quite like, she slept in the middle of the day, big long nap and everything. But it's just, they say this, don't they, quite often, I've spoke to other people that like know people that have different meds and stuff, and they're like, yeah, it takes a few weeks before they start to feel good. Like for the first couple of weeks, it's fucking worse, and that's how she's been, man. She's been so fucking low. I mean, like really low, and then that doesn't help. Then all the like self-consciousness stuff. Like she's convinced I'm talking to someone, like another woman, sort of thing. So that's hard, isn't it? Like, because you know you're not, and everything, but then it's just like she messaged me about. Oh, it was the other morning. I went to school basically saying like, oh, you know, if you're talking to someone else and they make you happy and everything else, like that's fine. I understand. I'm like, man, it's heavy to take it on that they're thinking like that, isn't it? And like, look, with her and that, I'm just telling myself like, right, I've just got to ride this out for a couple of weeks while she's kind of going through this sort of thing. Like even this morning, because I was awake late, because again I've just been watching Attack on Titan on the night, like, and she was like, "Oh, were you up like late again?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was a bit late actually, because I think I said that," and she was like, "Oh, messaging your girlfriend or something like that." And I just have to kind of let it pass. I'm like, no, like I'm just watching my fucking anime. I didn't even add a little kind of speech thing to him. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know what your head thinks I am, but you married a fucking geek. At the minute, I just want to play Pokemon and watch anime. Like, I'm not fucking trying to look around talking to anyone else just because you're on some new crazy pills for a week. Like, fuck's sake. But so like, it doesn't make me angry. It's just another thing that's like, because in a similar way, like how I'm not good at the minute. So that's a bit of weight then I'm taking from her and putting on myself. But like, I mentioned this when I come back and I said I was going to do a podcast, and I even said this all to her, just generally about like, you know, I can't talk to you at the minute because you can't take that on. And I said like, you know, that's fine. I mean, if we were in a relationship where you just didn't give a fuck about me and I'd try and talk to you and you'd just be like, yeah, you're fine, shut up, you're just being stupid. I'm like, that would be a problem because that's like a character flaw type thing. Whereas the realistic view of where we are at the minute is that her character and her as a person is fine. Like overall, it's just at the minute she ain't good. She can't take on the weight. I'm like, that's fine. I understand. So we clarified that, but then it was even like I tried not to say "told you so," but like we're in the cupboard, man, and we were just sorting out some fucking little Tupperware boxes of yeah. I have some protein bars, you know them not warrior bars. It's the other one, grenade bars. I haven't had them for ages. They're quite heavy. And the wife was like, she said something about blah, blah, blah. And I'm chopping them up. I was like, that's a good idea, actually. Chop them all up into little squares. Put them in a tub. And then I can just snack them like one. And I just want, because often I'll be like snacking. I don't want a whole protein bar. I can't be arsed with it. So that led to us looking for a tub in this cupboard. The cupboard, she wants to organise a bit better. So that she was kind of going, this is a fucking mess. I need to sort this, blah, blah, blah. Then I said, my fucking shed's the same after having all my stepdad's tools put in there. And then so it went from tubs in the cupboard being a mess to me saying about my shed being a mess and needing it tidying. So then she immediately went to, yeah, everything's fucking shit at the minute. So that's what I mean by like, I couldn't even tell her about my shed being messy and me needing to tidy it before her going to, yeah, everything's fucked. So, like, how the fuck am I meant to talk to her about how I'm feeling about work and like, the claim shit and coming around that? Like, I can't talk to her about the claim. I can't even tell her about an email I've had. She just can't talk to me about it. I try and say, oh, I've had this email, and maybe she'd be like, no, I can't. I'm like, okay. Like, she just... So, yeah. Wife's not good, but she's trying. And that was the other thing I thought today I didn't want to talk to her because she got up this morning. She's put her gym gear on. She's biked to the gym, done a session at the gym, like on her own. She's come back, she's dug out the soup maker, she made herself some proper food, she's wrote a list, she's going to go in the cold pool later, she wants to do a VR workout later. She's getting fucking on it today, which is fucking great. Because even yesterday morning, it was her idea for us to like bike up to this garden centre because we didn't have the car because it was still in the garage. And as we're about to leave, she was like, oh, I don't want to go. I was like, what, it was your idea? She went, I just want to go sit in bed. Just close the curtains. I just want to go lie in bed. But we were by the back gate at the time, and I was like, no, let's go. And we had a lovely morning, mate. It was lovely. A nice bike up there. Like, just, I like all the silly little things when you do stuff like that, because it's just, you'll see something on the path, or like a fucking bush. You know, you'll just talk about shit as a couple, because you'll just see things. So it was a lovely morning. And I says to her on the way back after we'd been round there, I was like, this has been twice as lovely because I got the comparison of if we didn't do this, she'd have just been at home sat in bed. So I think that's played some part in her getting out today. So yeah, I thought I'll come to a podcast because I didn't want to put the weight on her, and I know how hard it is to come out of that. Because was it? Might be yesterday evening. Might be the day before. She was in bed, and I says to her about like with the pills, because I know they'd be making her dizzy and other things. I was like, "How are you feeling right now? Like, you dizzy?" She's like, "Nope." I was like, "Headache or anything?" "Nope." I was like, "You got any like bad like time of the month pains or anything?" Because she gets really bad those. And she's like, "Nope." So I'm like, "Physically, you're right." She's like, "Yep." I was like, "Oh." I was like, "So that's a perfect example of like physically she was in a state of being physically capable to do physical things that would have made her head feel better, like, you know, exercising. But because her head was in such a bad place in that moment, she's like, yeah, I ain't fucking doing that. Which is true for a lot of people. You know, a lot of us can be in a state of like physically, you can go and do a little run or a jog or do some jumping jacks, or jumping in the cold pool was the best fucking thing because it ain't a half an hour fucking hit workout or anything. It's 3 fucking minutes. You just jump in and get the fuck out, and it'll give you more benefit, like psychological for your mind and everything, that it will going and doing a run. So yeah, so I said this to her when she was feeling, and I said this to her as she was like lying there telling me this about like, you know, her body's feeling fine but she ain't in her head. And I was like, okay. I was like, just if you get a moment, I said, where your head dips out of that for like a minute, just try and catch it while you can and convince yourself to go and do something fucking good for yourself, whether it's like a little VR workout, or like I've just said then, I was like, the easiest, quickest thing you could do is go jump in the fucking cold pool. Like, it's clean at the minute. I've made sure it's clean and that. Because that's what it's like when you like. So I feel like we've just managed to keep her out of that fully dark dip to the point where we still went out yesterday, and then yeah, to the point where this morning she's managed to be like, right, I'm going to the fucking gym and doing this and whatnot. Because I said that to her like the first day I ever did the cold pool. I sat on the toilet. This podcast ain't pretty. I sat on the fucking toilet. We just say how it is on here. Say how it is. I think I'd got the cold pool. It was on a Friday. I'd set it up. It was outside. It was full. It was done. And it was a Saturday morning. So I'd had it for like 24 hours. And I was just having one of them mornings where I was just like fucking beating myself up in my head. And I typed out this huge fucking message to the missus because I couldn't speak it, but I just needed to know how I was feeling that morning. I can't remember exactly, but I know I was just basically fucking digging at myself about how I was feeling and shit. And I know the last sentence that I was typing to her was basically saying, I've set up that fucking cold pool and everything, and I know I'm not even going to do it. And like, I just stopped typing, put my fucking phone down. I had to like wipe my ass and shit and quickly wash my hands. But like, I'd done it quick, ran down the fucking stairs, ran through the kitchen, stripped on my kitchen that fucking long. I'm like, run through my fucking big fancy kitchen. Like, I went through my kitchen, stripped off my fucking clothes as I went through. Missy's panicked. She's like, oh my God, what's going on? And I couldn't talk. I just had to go. Fucking ran outside. Fucking went to the cold pool. I think I might have paused for a second. I just jumped in. Just fucking got in there because I had that. Like I say, I was sat there. I was feeling like shit. I was just fucking hating on myself, really. And I just had this sudden moment of like so I'm not even going to do the fucking cold pool. And I just as I typed it, like, I'm not even going to do it because I'm that much of just a fucking fanny cunt prick pussy, like just really fucking digging on myself. And I just had this slight little wince of like, just go fucking do it now, right? Like go prove them wrong, quick, just fucking go now. I'm like, oh fuck, I need to go. And I just had to, that thing of motion thing, I had to just keep fucking moving. I couldn't stop and talk because I'd just the shitty voices would have come back and I got in the fucking ball. Felt like I was going to die. Like, fuck. The first time I got in that bastard cold pool, it was like winter months when we started as well, so it was cold. It was like 2 degrees or something. And the missy said when she saw me, she said she thought I was going to die for a minute because I was just like the panic on my face and just like the heavy breathing and that. That's the hardest part of a cold pool. When I did do it a bit the other day and it pissed me off when I got in. When you get in and you just breathe really heavy in that shock, like just fucking big heavy breaths, makes me dizzy. makes me fucking lightheaded. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, man. Now I'm lightheaded and in a cold pool. It's not nice. So, yeah, thanks for listening. That's it. I'm done. Yeah, because there's nothing really to like. I can't fix it as such at the minute. See, even like now, I'm gonna like stop this, and then probably go get on the ramp for an hour before getting the kids from school. Oh, and I'm like, oh, I should video it. Really? I guess what I could do is just grab my camera and just bang the fucking tripod there and just record what's going on, and I'll just voice over it. Because I'm thinking of it along the lines of like setting up the lapel mic and everything, so I can hold my camera and like, you know, talk to the fucking camera about what I'm doing, and then put that in between the shots of the work happening. But I guess, yeah, I could just do some voiceover stuff, because I can do that at a later date as long as I've got the footage of me working on it. So yeah, I think when it goes to like me working on stuff like that, I don't do it like by the book, and I don't know if I'm embarrassed by it, like, because a lot of it, man, I'm just doing it as I go along. I don't plan it. I haven't drawn out plans and like made fucking like measurements and shit. I just measure it as I go, and because like got no fucking money, you know, I only managed to scrimp together to get the boards to board the ramp. I'm using what I can. Like most of the screws I'm using, I want to try and put a picture in of the castle that I'd originally built for the kids, because most of the wood and everything is like from that. But even so are a lot of the screws, and because they're screws that were like walked over that, they like got all dirt in. When you got dirt in the head of a screw, you can't get the like drill bit or screw head in it deep enough, and what it would do is round it off. So what I'm getting at is I've got this like bucket just full of all the old screws, and I'm getting out and I'm picking the dirt out the heads with a pick, and then using the screw. And like the top of the deck, like the actual ramp itself where it like curves, that's all new boards, it's smooth. And I managed to get one new board for either side of the deck, but really I could have done with like 3 or 4 more. But I had 2 old ones, so I've had to like cut them up, and it just looks like a patchwork quilt on the top of the deck. So like I said, I'm just using what the fuck I can find that I've got, and I'm trying to keep some of the wood aside because I want to make a nicer desk wood in here, because I'm just kind of got everything cramped on this little cheap like Amazon computer desk, and I wanted to build a nice bookshelf in the house for books, so I'm trying to be aware of that. So yeah, within that way of me working, like I said, I don't know if I'm embarrassed by it, but I'm like, I think in my head I'm like, it ain't pretty video. Yeah. Well, at least if I video it, I can just edit it, can't I? Like if there's like 2 hours worth of footage of me just fucking around with a rail, I don't need to use it all, do I? I just need to use a clip. Okay, maybe I've answered one of my problems there, so that's nice. Work-wise, I'm still dealing with it, because where the oven guy's job is, it's round the corner from where my kids go swimming. And now we've got the car back, we could take the kids to swimming tonight. So the wife's like, oh, do you want to do it while we take the kids swimming? So I'm like, okay. So that kicks me in the balls, because then I'm like, right, so I'm not going to be able to go watch my kids at swimming class, because I'm going to have to go fit this fucking oven. You know what I mean? Because that's like a big part of like my PTSD shit, man. Like, time away from the family to go and earn money is like a fucking no-no. It just like I've been managing to do these jobs more at the minute because the kids are at school, so it's not as bad. It's more the struggle of like, who am I? I want to find out. I'm sure it's Jimmy the orderly off of Scrubs. Who am I? Oh, if I can edit this in on the YouTube like the podcast, I will. But so yeah, but like yeah, if it's like the kids are off school or whatever, it's that who am I, along with why the fuck are you not with your family? So yeah, that's gonna be a struggle. I'm just gonna push through, get it done. Yeah, I'm toying with the idea of doing a daily podcast as well. By the time this podcast comes out, I might have already done it, or I might not have. And if I haven't, suggesting comments on the YouTube. Because I'm doing this by myself and I'm not having guests on for this one, and I'm not doing it as like a themed thing, I'm just talking about fucking life as and when it is, I'm picturing more, instead of it being like an 40 odd minute, hour long weekly podcast, maybe just doing like 15 to 30 minute daily one. You know, because I like the idea of being able to do like podcast in the morning, that come out. I'll record it in the morning, drop the kids off, come back, do a workout, cold pool, that sort of stuff, do the podcast, and then stream for an hour or two. Because I like the idea of people being able to watch the podcast, because I'll obviously record one and then put it out the following day, so I'll always be one ahead. So I like the idea of people being able to watch the podcast and then come jump on stream with me while I'm like just playing Pokemon or Power World or something, just have a bit of a chinwag. I like that idea. Yeah, I mean, I could do the morning streams anyway. I just like the idea of it being daily morning podcast followed by a stream. Yeah, we shall see. Blah 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 blah. There was another point, but I think I've already said about it in the other podcast, so I'll leave it. Yeah, I know I'm not really looking at the camera as much lately when I'm doing these podcasts, but that's because like I'm just kind of thinking as I'm talking, and I'm in my own mind about it, and it's really hard to focus on the lens. Like when I'm doing my vlog things, like in the garden and stuff, I always look at the lens because I'm looking at you. I'm talking directly to you. Whereas this, I'm kind of more talking out loud. So yeah, sorry if that bothers you. Comments, likes, subscribing. I know this is obviously on podcast platforms, but I'm more of a YouTube guy. Yeah. So if you want to come, I feel like there's more community on YouTube. I want to get in comments with people and talk. I just want people comment going, mate, I feel the fucking same. It's great to know I'm not alone. Keep doing what you're doing. Shit like that. Because people do not talk enough. For a multitude of reasons. A lot of them just don't know how. Yes. Right, I'm off. I'm done. I feel better. Thank you. And I shall see you on the next one.